Yo, what is up everybody? This is your host, the Crusading Dingus, and welcome to the show. I have a new video for you prepared, and here we are. Today I'll be making a tier list about the family members. I have over 1k and 100 hours on this game, and most of my time has been wasted, well, on family, because I just enjoy playing them. Not do family players lacking compared to victim players? But today I'll be making a family tier list. I'll soon be making a victim tier list. I've been playing a lot of solo queue victim lately, so I can give my honest and unbiased opinion, because I know for a fact, even if I make a very unbiased opinion, redditors who are unable to fit through their door are still gonna hate on me. Too bad for them, I've been hating on them since they were born, so here we are. But for this occasion, I'll be making my own tier list once again, due so many tier lists on Tier List Maker being very outdated or having one of the most ugliest PNGs I've seen in a bit. I'm a graphical designer, specifically a pre-press guy, so this triggers me in a lot of extents. So give me a half hour to an hour and I'll be here with the tier list. Here we go, the tier list is done, and so are the avatars. I made my own tiers from Diabolical, Great, Creature Character, Mid, and Garbage Ultra Deluxe. So, before we start, let me just be clear, this tier list is based on my opinions. You're allowed to share your opinion in the comments, but keep it civil, because there's no reason to get upset over pixels being put in the wrong category, not to your liking, of course. It'd be a shame to waste so much potential energy on such small pixels. Basically, I've been playing all 7 characters for a very long time. I sometimes jump from one to the other, play one more consistently than the other, but I'll be rating them on their abilities, their playstyle, their strengths and weaknesses, and of course their main niche, their ability. And let's just go over to the most overused joke ever, starting off with the face of the game. Diabolical. Let's be honest, there's literally no other place to put this guy. The ability to one-shot victims, destroy barricades as fast as you can, destroy crawling gaps permanently, and make gaps glory holes with trusting. For the victim side, this is definitely a character where you want to keep your butt cheeks clenched, cause one wrong move and this guy's gonna make you his bitch. Although his strength may be his one-shot ability, it's also his weakness, considering you can still miss and stall with the chainsaw. But if you know how to keep it under control, then this weakness doesn't even exist. Other weaknesses include little gaps, crawling gaps, barricades that have not been broken, tight corners, and of course, spinny victims. But if you're a patient bubba, these weaknesses don't even exist. Diabolical. I'm sorry to say this, but this guy is Garbage Ultra Deluxe. That is, if I were a stupid victim main crying on Reddit non-stop. Unfortunately for a character with such a weak ability, he is known to be called an exploit character. But that's only happening because people cannot stop running in a straight line. I'm not kidding, he has the same weaknesses as LeatherFace. Gaps, crawling spaces, spinning, it's all there, yet unfortunately you're not capable of using your small tiny brain. Instead you go on a stupid app full of fat asses calling this guy an exploit. To rub salt on the wound, I'm actually gonna make it a strength where if you're facing one of these people, it's just a free kill. They run in a straight line, they're just gonna call you an exploit in the end. But jokes aside, this character has actually very good attributes to start off with. You can make this guy a perfect blood harvester, and even then, even if he's a blood harvester or not, this guy still remains very dangerous, just as dangerous as LeatherFace is. His ability to one-shot latch doors as well is also very usable. So if Grandpa is still sleeping and you're playing on Family House for example, or just a map with a lot of doors, use that time to barge doors and not to stand at the basement slides ready to basement valve for the whole match, ruining it for your other 2 teammates. Unfortunately, this also aligns with a weakness of his, concerning he has no traps nor anything to slow down victims in their path from reaching their key objectives. But of course that weakness will not stop him from being a very dangerous threat and monster to victims, considering he's just as dangerous as LeatherFace when you get too close in his swinging grasp. Another weakness that you could kind of use as a strength is also the fact that he has one of the longest close encounter losing animations, making victims stuck for a very long time, giving your family members enough time to hopefully get to you and get some hits in before they ultimately get out of the animation. That's something I see as a strength at the same time. Could just be me though. He feels like the character you would make in an MMO to start off with, hence create your character category.
They saw me, they came bounding over.
He may say he doesn't like killing, but he fucking does, cause that's why he's always cackling when he's hitting people for a living. If he has one weakness we can all agree on, it's of course his movement speed, but honestly it makes up for it considering he has a very strong ability to lay out. His main ability is Listen. It forces victims to be quiet, and of course if the cook manages to hear you, then you're kinda the shit, cause you don't know if he has the all-seeing family tree ability, you don't know if he's actually communicating with his teammate. If you get heard by the cook, it always fucks up your plan in some capacity, making you need to adapt to another option, or just commit. We also cannot lie that his padlocks are mandatory in this current state of the game, where people love rushing, so padlocks are definitely there to slow them down from reaching their key objectives. Whether you have security pins or not, padlocks will always be very helpful in the end. It also gives an indicator if you don't see it anymore with the ability focus that you know they're picking a door. He does have very low beginner endurance, but of course it fits his character. But also, one of his other weaknesses is that he has a very long stun time when he loses a close encounter, where the victims do get out very quick compared to Johnny's losing animation. But honestly, I've made up my mind since pretty much preparing this video. I've given my points, and honestly, he is definitely a diabolical tier. Oh boy, Nancy Sawyer. I have no clue where to start with her, unfortunately. She is a very interesting character, but unfortunately I think we can all agree that she's probably one of the worst family members solo queue wise. I think gameplay wise, when you're playing with a stack or have communications on your side, I think this character is very dope. But even if that's the case, herself is kinda lackluster. Her ability to spy and look where people are is very strong, especially when it comes to the last victim. Unfortunately, that comes with a very long cooldown, and unfortunately also getting stunned when the ability is over. This girl is definitely strong when you have the power of comms on your side, but that's not always the case, making it a very situational character. Also, when it comes to her barbed wires, it is very punishing to set them, considering that your teammates can ruin them. Now, if a victim does step into them, it is very punishing to the victim itself, considering you keep getting stunned when you go through a crawling gap or just a gap in general that you keep tripping over, and unfortunately there's a chance that you fuck up yourself by accidentally taking your barbed wire off before doing the action you wanted to do. But still, her setup time for the barbed wires is just so embarrassing compared to Hitchhiker and Hans, who do it in a couple of seconds, while Nancy takes fucking hours in order to set her Barbies up that can be destroyed by her teammates once again to remind you. I'll say it like this, Nancy is 100% a fun character, and she's more like the character that you want to play to have fun, or cause she is fun to play with. But if we're speaking from an actual tier list standpoint where every character has their value in a match, I think she's going into the garbage deluxe edition. It's also due to the fact that her base attributes are just dog shit. It's genuinely the worst I've ever seen. Unlike old Nancy, Hitchhiker is capable of placing his traps at a very decent pace and put them anywhere where they want, unless there's some few restrictions. They're also very fast to reset once they have been disarmed or triggered by a victim. And the best thing is they don't get triggered by your teammates, which makes Hitchhiker the best trapper in the game at this moment. His base attributes are also very good, especially endurance. Considering he's a chaser character, it makes sense to have such high decent endurance. And definitely his traps are a huge threat once again, considering they can be placed anywhere at any time without you knowing. Maybe they're hitting in a bush, or maybe they're blocking you from reaching a key objective. hence one of his weaknesses is a perk called Bomb Squad. Now, I'm not really keen on mentioning perks to counter characters for a tier list, but I feel like Hitchhiker is a very hard one to sniff weaknesses out for him, considering he's a very strong character on his own already. I mean, I wouldn't really say gaps or crawl spaces, considering he uses them themselves. Maybe you could try a little cheeky juke where you try to slip by the moment his animation ends for reaching out of a gap or something. That could be a chance, but good hitchhikers don't fall for this shit anymore. I tried it several times as victim. You can also try your best friend as a victim, close encounters and winning them, of course. That's your chance to stun a hitchhiker for temporary moments, and if you have to choose fight, that makes it better to try to escape from him. You know a character is strong when even a family main like me is suggesting to use choose fight against him, considering he just has no weaknesses at all almost. He's a huge team player as well with his trap, so I think this guy is a diabolical tier. I feel like Sissy is actually a very decent character, often overshadowed by the fact that a lot of new players play her, making her look bad in so many ways. Because every time I play with randoms and they go Sissy, there's like a 90% chance they just love basement dwelling for some reason. But if you're facing a Sissy that knows what she's doing, then you're in for a shitty ride, trust me. Her ability Poison Cloud makes it so loops become unloopable and makes it so victims get woozy and doozy like they hit the booze. You can use your powder for anything to secure an area for a bit to know if somebody's gonna run through it for victims. You can, poison victims, simple. But you can also poison items like healing bottles and key items, which kinda makes her strong, but that also comes with a weakness, depending if you're running the perk Herbalist. It is where, if you want to refill your poison, because she only can carry a max of 3 poison powder at one time, there's a chance it's either a full table, a table of 2, or a table of 1. I don't know why that's the thing, but I hate wasting my time running to a poison table just to get only 1 poison powder. This kind of makes her look stupid in my opinion. For me, basically, I see her as a Hitchhiker 2.0 minus kind of the team element and minus the traps. Now, she can poison traps, but if the victims know where the traps are, then it's not really gonna be effective at all. But also, you can do so much nasty things with poison. Like, if you door slam a victim, for example, you can literally poison her. I think Sissy's the most dangerous family member to get door slammed by. Now, she does have Hitchhiker's old chase build in her skill tree, which is kind of dope, but if we're talking from like a beginner standpoint where the beginning Sissy has no clue what perks benefit them, then yeah, that's an issue. Not everybody's the same. So originally I was gonna put Sissy and create a character tier, but honestly after revamping and basically what I stated, the only thing that's dragging her down is the poison tables with the amount of poison you can gather from that one table. That is bringing her to the grey tier. Ah yes, the last family member on the list, Hans, and also the latest family member to come to the game as of making the video. This boyo 100% has a lot of strengths, but he also has his weaknesses. Let's go over his strengths. His ability Ripstall is basically the big middle finger to the Danny mains that now went into hiding. Major respect to the Danny players who still play that character despite them facing a Hans in that game, cause trust me, I've been playing Danny a lot in solo queue lately, as I stated in the beginning of the video. A lot against Hans, and honestly, I love the challenge, it's fucking epic. But his Ripstall ability makes it so every key item that has been disabled or activated goes off instantly, which makes the fuse and valve shut down instantly even with them being opened, and reactivating the generator and battery in just one simple click. His electrical traps are decent, but they're kinda weak in my opinion, cause you don't get an indicator when they get disabled or not, which is kinda a downside to the traps, but they're still a good way to make victims reconsider their choices whether they want to commit to the challenge or try another approach. But I feel like his bars is probably one of the most fun abilities to use. It's not strong, but when teammates are in the vicinity in your area when you bars a victim, then things can get very interesting. Either they succumb to their fave or something else happens, who knows. His bars does take quite a lot of stamina away from you, so be careful when using this, because if you miss, then yeah, you're gonna be standing there looking like an idiot. I do have to admit, this is the first character where I have to admit that both his close encounter win and lose animation are very strong. They're very fast. If you lose an animation, oh well, just touch your nipple for a bit and you'll be fine again. Unless choose fight is there, but that's a situational thing. But if choose fight is not there, then he recovers very fast from the stun animation. Also, if he wins a barge, it's a fast animation as well, which makes him a very versatile character. But however, his attributes are also decently enough, but endurance is kinda a pain to deal with, because I feel like in order for attributes for family, I rate savagery the highest, followed by endurance and then bursting. And considering his endurance is low, that is where a lot of your endurance points, or better said, your attribute points will have to be wasted to make him a viable character. Unfortunately, he is also kinda slow, so Scout is definitely maybe a little must-have in order to play him well. That is why I'm gonna put him in the Grey tier instead of the S tier or Diabolical tier. Because I feel like most people also just play hands if there's a Danny in the lobby, which kind of makes it, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of do the last switcheroo moment in order to counter that character, yada yada yada. But the issue with hands is as well, which kind of makes sense of course, because he's like 7 foot tall and fucking broader than the average American dad, is the fact that he cannot use gaps, crawl gaps, and even fucking ladders. This is the first character, besides LeatherFace, to not be able to climb ladders, which kind of makes him poopy, but hey. It makes sense, of course. That's why I don't put him in Diabolical, but great above Sissy. And of course, there's one family member left, which is Grandpa, but I'm just gonna make this quick. I'm gonna put him in mid, because you don't always need him in the match. He's also kinda a side objective at this point. He does have some good perks to offer, but you're not gonna get value out of him always. Hence, I'm gonna put him in mid. Also, he's simping for a Latina college girl, so what the fuck. I think Dominic Toretto will be very disappointed with this old man. Also, Grandpa can lose his level, so that just really elaborates the mid category. And that will do for today's video. Thank you so much for watching this tier list. If you enjoyed this tier list, make sure to drop a like and a sub. Hopefully, year 2 of Texas Chainsaw Massacre will give us a little bit more characters and hopefully no more delays and stuff, because it was really disappointing to get only 2 new family members this year, which was Nancy and Hans, but I'm glad they're finally in the game at least. Anywho, thank you so much for watching, my dear viewer. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, and if you haven't, drop a subscription, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next Texas Chainsaw Massacre video. Have a good one, and I wish you a very good day. See ya.